Hey, I am Jeffrey Silverstein. I am a musician, teacher, and writer based in Portland, Oregon. I am one half of a duo called Nassau, which is split between myself and my buddy back in New York. And kind of as of recently started to perform solo by myself out here. I definitely had music growing up in the house. A lot of classic rock from both my mom and my dad. You know, they dug Crosby, Stills and Nash, the Beatles. A lot of listening to, Beatles' greatest hits CDs on long car rides. Those were definitely some of my very early on childhood memories. I played saxophone, from 5th grade to 8th grade, and I kind of hit that pivotal point where I was either going to continue playing saxophone and really go down that route, or I was gonna pick up an electric guitar because that's what all of my friends were doing. Come 8th or 9th grade, it was that was it. So I feel like all my buddies had, the same guitar teacher, and I was, ultimately learning some kind of, scales and basics and chords. But ultimately at that point in time, it was just bringing in, Green Day or Blink-182 or whatever, songs I wanted to learn how to play and kind of doing that. I would say high school was my first band ever. It was kind of a pop punk band, that part of it was kind of happening all over the country, but this very suburban kind of emo and screamo, and those were the bands that I kind of really formed, I think, my first impressions of how to write songs. Those were some of the bands I definitely was trying to emulate then. So kind of stuck in this punkish, hardcore emo phase for a while, and then college, boom, couldn't really have an electric guitar and amp in my dorm room, so had an acoustic, ultimately for the first time, a nice acoustic. And I was just getting stoned and going to the library a lot and renting CDs all the time. And I was starting to listen to more psychedelic folk. Devendra Banhart had just came to my musical knowledge, and Vetiver and these bands, this kind of West Coast psychedelic folk sound that I would start to fall in love with. And it was really around that time too that I think I took out from the library Neil Young live at Massey Hall.
Dance, dance, feel it all around you. Dance, dance, dance. Mississippi mud never touched your fingers. See the girl dance.
That's when I started to also really appreciate some of the classic rock that as a kid I wanted to move away from.